Hey guys, Prowl 1701 here, and it's Armageddon again. The aliens have returned, and they have given us yet another choice. We wait with bated breath, and they're like, we have come to take some of your modern Doctor Who stories. So we release a sigh of relief. We're glad they're not back for more classic Who stories. So the sigh of relief, I'm just kidding. There's some good modern Doctor Who stories out there too, especially in the early season, but some good ones in the later ones. But much like with the video yesterday, or the other day, whenever this goes up after it, where we did basically a bunch of face-off videos between classic Doctor Who stories where you had to pick between two Doctor Who stories on which one you would keep and which one you would be willing to give up to the aliens if they basically told us you either have to give up some of your stories or we're going to just bombard the planet. So to ensure the survival of, well, the planet, if faced with 25 face-offs where you had to pick between two stories, which one would you be willing to keep if they would only let you keep one? So we have another 25 face-offs, this time from modern Doctor Who, where of the two stories, the aliens will allow us to keep one, and the others they will take and we will never have again. And again, I wanted to make these challenging, just like with the classic Who video. I really wanted to make people have to think about them. Here we go at number 1, Dalek versus the Empty Child, the Dr. Dances two-parter. Both of these are phenomenal. They're my two favorite stories from Series 1. But do you pick the Empty Child two-parter because it is a two-parter, so you'd be getting more story? Or do you pick Dalek because it's just phenomenal? It's my favorite Dalek story of all time. It even beats out all the classic Who ones. It shows just how deadly one Dalek can be. And it shows, I don't think it's ever been more personal between the Doctor and the Daleks as it is here. It's very personal between them with it coming so soon after the Time War, and I enjoy that. So which one would you pick between the two? Number 2, Rose versus Bad Wolf and the Parting of the Ways. The first episode of Series 1 and New Who versus the series finale of Series 1, which is also phenomenal. Which one would you pick between these two? Number 3, School Reunion versus the Age of Steel two-parter. School Reunion is, of course, phenomenal. It brings Sarah Jane back, my personal favorite companion, and K9. And plus, it gives Rose a glimpse of what life can be like after traveling with a Doctor and letting her know, that she's not the only person he's done this with. Whereas the Age of Steel two-parter is one of the few times I feel like Modern Who has done a really good job with the Cybermen. I actually really like that two-parter, especially with them having a parallel universe origin. I enjoy that. Number 4, Blink versus the Human Nature two-parter. This is an interesting one because I do love Blink. I believe it deserves all the accolades it gets. I think it's a phenomenal episode. It has one of the greatest villains Doctor Who has ever had, even if they have been kind of watered down since, but they are phenomenal in this story, and they're just fascinating as a concept itself. Plus, I love the fact the Doctor isn't in it much. It's not often Doctor Who pulls that off well, but it pulls it off brilliantly here. Plus, Sally Sparrow is just a really good character. But the Human Nature two-parter is also phenomenal. Great acting all around. Tennant is just in fine form playing John Smith. And I really like the guy who plays Son of Mine. He's just something just creepy about him. The way he looks absolutely creepy. Hard choice. Very hard choice between those two. Number 5 is Smith and Jones versus Partners in Crime. So Martha's first episode versus Donna's first episode. Both from good series of Doctor Who. Number 6, Midnight versus the Impossible Planet Satan Pit two-parter. Both of these horror-inspired, with horror elements in them. I know the Impossible Pit is kind of one of the standouts of Series 2 for most people, whereas Midnight is usually heralded as one of Tennant's best. Which one would you keep in those two? Number 7, Waters of Mars versus the Stolen Earth Journey's End. Waters of Mars seems oftentimes to be considered the best of the specials. How does it stack up, though, with the Series 4 finale? The Series 4 finale is good, but I would argue it's a little over the top. It has kind of got to that point where it's getting a little silly. Which one would you pick between them? Number 8 is the 11th Hour versus Vincent and the Doctor. That's an interesting one. Both Series 5 stories. What would you do if you could only save the 11th Hour, which I think a lot of us would agree is probably one of the best post-regeneration stories, versus Vincent and the Doctor, which is also a fan favorite? Let's see. Number 9, The Beast Below versus Victory of the Daleks. Number 10, The Impossible Astronaut versus the Doctor's Wife. So the two-parter that opens Series 6 versus the Doctor's Wife, a very popular Neil Gaiman episode. Number 11, Turn Left versus Gridlock. Number 12, A Town Called Mercy versus Angels in Manhattan, Angels Take Manhattan, whatever Amy and Rory's last episode's called. Number 13, The Crimson Horror versus The Bells of St. John. Number 14, Name of the Doctor versus Time of the Doctor. Both of these, of course, very important 50th anniversary specials. Time, of course, being Matt's regeneration story, but Name being very important as it builds up everything that happens later in Day. Plus, Name just has that phenomenal opening montage, which is great. Number 15, Nikola Tesla's Night of Terror versus Rosa. So a little bit of Whittaker here. We have the Tesla episode versus the Rosa episode. Number 16, Thin Ice versus the Under the Lake Before the Flood two-parter. This is a tricky one for me because I love both of those stories. I think they're both phenomenal. And two of Capaldi's best. Number 17, Mummy on the Orient Express versus Flatline. The two best stories of Series 8 in my opinion. Both of them very creative, both of them very original, and it's really hard to pick between them. Number 19, Robots of Sherwood versus Time Heist. Number 19, this is a fun one for number 19, Day of the Doctor versus World Enough in Time and Dr. Falls. Now we're not counting Twice Upon a Time on that. That's a separate one on the list. So you have Day of the Doctor versus World Enough in Time and the Dr. Falls. That's a tricky one because both of those are phenomenal and both of those are important. It's again, I wanted to make this list hard. I wanted you to have to think about it. Which one's more important, Day because it's the 50th or World Enough because it's Capaldi's kind of final go round, not including Twice, of course. And it's just a masterful piece of storytelling in and of itself. Number 20, Night of the Doctor versus Twice Upon a Time. This is interesting because Night is so much shorter, but Night, I think, is pivotal, especially for the 8th Doctor. But Twice Upon a Time is really good, too, although some people probably would have preferred Capaldi regenerate at the end of Dr. Falls, but I actually really like Twice Upon a Time. That's a hard one for me. This one's meant to be difficult. Number 21, I cannot read my handwriting there. Oh, here we go. Number 21, The Timeless Children versus Flux. I know a lot of us would probably just give both of them away. But if you had to give one and keep the other, The Timeless Children versus Flux, which one to me is the worse offender? 22 is... here's a good one for 22. This is a tricky one too. The Girl in the Fireplace versus The Silence in the Library Forest of the Dead two-parter. Again, both of these Moffat stories, both of them phenomenal. Both of them I really enjoy, and it's a hard choice for me personally. Number 23 is Boomtown versus The Lazarus Experiment. Number 24 is the Haunting of Villa Diodati versus The Eaters of Light. Whittaker going up against Capaldi. Because in this one I would argue Haunting is a better episode than Eaters of Light, but at the same time, Capaldi's a better Doctor than Whittaker. So I'm curious to see how that one will play out. And number 25, the last one, is Voyage of the Damned versus A Christmas Carol. So a David Tennant Christmas special going up against a Matt Smith Christmas special. So that is the 25 face-offs we have going on here in this round of It's Armageddon. If you had to pick only one of each of those that could survive and the others are taken away by the aliens forever, which ones would you pick and why? So comment down below and let me know. And let me know what you think of this video series. I might do more of these. If you like it, if you don't like it. I like doing videos that get you guys involved in it. Much like the Face-Off series. I really enjoy those. Kind of let y'all have a part in it. Really get you involved. I like that. If you've enjoyed this, let me know down in the comments below. I love feedback. Other things to do while I have you here, go ahead and click the like button, click the subscribe button, click the bell for notifications. If you watch the channel regularly and you haven't subscribed yet, why not? It's free and it helps me out, which I appreciate. I also have a Patreon. If you would like to support me that way, there's a link to that down in the description below. I also have a P.O. box if there's anything you would like to send me. And there's a link to my Amazon wish list, which I update regularly as well. Most importantly, though, thank you for watching.